The story of Samson: strength, betrayal, and redemption. This is the story of the strongest man who ever lived, a man who tore apart a lion with his bare hands, who brought down an entire temple with just his arms, a man chosen by God before birth, yet destroyed by his own choices. This is the story of Samson, and it's not the story you might expect. The miracle child. Our story begins in one of the darkest periods in Israel's history. For 40 long years, the Philistines had ruled over them with an iron fist. The people cried out for deliverance, but heaven seemed silent. Until one day, in the small town of Zorah, a woman had been barren her entire life. In those days, this was considered a curse. She had given up hope of ever having children. But then, the angel of the Lord appeared to her. The angel's message was extraordinary. You're going to have a son, but this child will be special. He must never drink wine, never eat anything unclean, and his hair must never be cut. He will be a Nazirite set apart for God from the moment of conception. And he, the angel declared, will begin to deliver Israel from the Philistines. Her husband Manoah prayed for the angel to return and teach them how to raise this promised child. God answered. The angel returned and confirmed the instructions. 9 months later, a son was born. They named him Samson. As Samson grew, something became clear. This was no ordinary child. The Lord blessed him, and the Spirit of God began to stir within him, giving him strength that no man had ever possessed. The lion and the riddle. When Samson became a young man, he traveled to Timnah, Philistine territory. There, he saw a Philistine woman and decided he wanted to marry her. His parents were horrified. "Isn't there a woman among our own people? Must you marry a Philistine, our enemies?" But Samson insisted. What his parents didn't know was that God was orchestrating this, seeking an opportunity to confront the Philistines. On his way back to Timnah, Samson walked through a narrow forest path when suddenly a young lion charged straight at him. Most men would have died instantly, but the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon Samson. With supernatural strength, he grabbed the lion and tore it apart with his bare hands as easily as you might tear paper. He didn't even tell his parents what happened. Later, when he passed by the same spot, he found something strange. Bees had made a hive inside the lion's carcass, producing honey. Samson took some and ate it, sharing it with his parents, though he didn't mention where it came from. This detail would become crucial. At his wedding feast, Samson proposed a bet to the 30 Philistine guests. "Let me tell you a riddle. If you solve it within 7 days, I'll give you 30 linen garments and 30 sets of clothes. If you can't solve it, you give me the same." They agreed. Samson smiled and said, "Out of the eater, something to eat. Out of the strong, something sweet." For 3 days they struggled. They had no idea what it meant. Finally, they threatened Samson's bride. "Get the answer from him, or we'll burn you and your father's house to death." For 7 days she wept and pleaded, "You don't really love me. You haven't told me the answer." On the 7th day, exhausted by her tears, Samson gave in and told her. She immediately told the Philistines. Before sunset on the 7th day, they approached Samson with smug grins. "What is sweeter than honey? What is stronger than a lion?" Samson's eyes flashed with anger. "If you hadn't plowed with my heifer, you wouldn't have solved my riddle." The Spirit of the Lord came upon him again. In his rage, he went down to Ashkelon, struck down 30 Philistine men, stripped them of their clothes, and gave the garments to those who had solved his riddle. Then he stormed back to his father's house, burning with fury. His bride, she was given to his best man, boxes and fire. Sometime later, Samson cooled down and decided to visit his wife, but her father blocked him at the door. "I thought you hated her, so I gave her to your companion. But her younger sister is even more beautiful, take her instead." Samson's voice was ice cold. "This time I have every right to get even with the Philistines." What happened next became legendary. Samson went out and caught 300 foxes. He tied them tail to tail in pairs, fastened torches to their tails, lit them on fire, and released them into the Philistine grain fields. Imagine the scene. Panicked foxes running through the fields, spreading fire everywhere. The standing grain, the vineyards, the olive groves, everything burned. The Philistines' entire harvest, Their livelihood turned to ash in a single night. "Who did this?" they demanded. "Samson, because his wife was given to another man." The Philistines responded by burning Samson's wife and her father alive. Now it was personal. Samson attacked them viciously, slaughtering many, before retreating to a cave in the rock of Etam. The jawbone. The Philistines weren't about to let this go. They marched an army into Judah, making camp near Lehi. The people of Judah were terrified. "Why are you here?" "We've come for Samson." 3,000 men from Judah went to Samson's cave. "Don't you realize the Philistines rule over us? What have you done?" Samson replied calmly, "I only did to them what they did to me. We've come to tie you up and hand you over to them. Swear to me you won't kill me yourselves." They agreed, bound him with 2 new ropes, and led him toward the Philistine camp. As Samson approached, the Philistines saw him bound and helpless. They began shouting in triumph. But then the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon Samson. The ropes on his arms became like charred thread and simply fell away. Samson spotted a fresh jawbone of a donkey lying on the ground. He grabbed it and began to fight. 1 Philistine fell, then another, then 10, then 100. Samson moved through them like a force of nature, unstoppable, devastating. When the dust settled, 1,000 men lay dead on the ground. Samson stood there, bloodied but victorious, holding the jawbone. He declared, "With a donkey's jawbone, I have killed 1,000 men." Then he threw it down. But Samson was dying of thirst. He cried out to God, "You've given me this great victory. Must I now die of thirst and fall into enemy hands?" God opened up a hollow place in the ground, and water flowed out. Samson drank, and his strength returned. Delilah's deception. Years passed. Samson became a judge over Israel, leading them for 20 years. He performed other mighty acts, even carrying away the gates of Gaza on his shoulders. But then he made a fatal mistake. He fell in love with a woman named Delilah. The Philistine rulers saw their opportunity. They came to her with a proposition. "Seduce him. Find out the secret of his strength. Each of us will give you 1,100 shekels of silver." That was a fortune. Delilah agreed. "Tell me, Samson," she purred one evening, "what makes you so strong? How could someone tie you up?" Samson grinned. "If someone tied me with 7 fresh bowstrings that haven't been dried, I'd become as weak as any other man." Delilah got the bowstrings, tied him up while he slept, then shouted, "Samson, the Philistines are here." He snapped the strings like thread. She pouted. "You lied to me. Please, tell me the truth." Okay, Samson said. "If you weave the 7 braids of my hair into your loom and tighten it, I'll be helpless." She did. Same result, he pulled free effortlessly. But Delilah wouldn't give up. Day after day she nagged him. She cried. She accused him of not loving her. "How can you say you love me when you won't share your heart with me? 3 times now you've made a fool of me." Finally, worn down, sick of her constant nagging, Samson broke. "No razor has ever touched my head," he confessed. "I've been a Nazirite set apart for God since birth. If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me. I'd become like any other man." Delilah knew. This was the truth. She sent word to the Philistine rulers. "Come back. He's told me everything." That night she lulled Samson to sleep on her lap. Then she called for a man with a razor. One by one, his 7 braids fell to the floor. "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." He woke up, thinking he could fight as before. But when he tried to summon his strength, nothing. The Lord had left him. Blindness and bondage. The Philistines seized him. They gouged out his eyes, a final, cruel humiliation. Then they dragged him to Gaza in bronze shackles and threw him into prison. The strongest man in the world was reduced to grinding grain like an animal, stumbling in darkness, pushing a millstone in endless circles. The Philistines had won, or so they thought, because slowly, quietly, almost imperceptibly, Samson's hair began to grow again. The Philistine rulers decided to throw a massive celebration to their god Dagon. 3,000 people packed into the great temple, rulers, nobles, and common people crowding the roof. "Bring out Samson," they shouted. "Let's make him entertain us." They dragged the blind prisoner into the temple. The crowd roared with laughter. They mocked him, this once mighty warrior now helpless and humiliated. "Look at Israel's champion now. Where's your God, Samson?" A servant guided Samson's hands to the massive central pillars that supported the entire structure. "Let me lean against the pillars to rest," Samson said quietly. The servant positioned him between the two main columns. Above him, around him, the celebration continued. The Philistines drank, laughed, and praised their God for delivering their enemy into their hands. But Samson wasn't resting. He was praying. The final victory. "Sovereign Lord," he whispered, "remember me. Please, God, strengthen me just once more. Let me get revenge on the Philistines for my 2 eyes." Samson felt the stone beneath his hands. He positioned his feet. He took a deep breath. Then, loud enough for those nearby to hear, he said, "Let me die with the Philistines." With every ounce of strength he had left, strength that God granted him one final time, Samson pushed. The pillars groaned. Someone screamed. And then the entire temple came crashing down. 3,000 Philistines, including all their rulers, died in an instant, buried under tons of stone and timber. Samson died that day too, but in his death, he killed more enemies than he had in his entire life. His brothers came and retrieved his body. They carried him home and buried him between Zorah and Eshtaol, in the tomb of his father Manoah. The story of Samson is not a simple hero's tale. It's the story of a man with extraordinary gifts and deep flaws. A man chosen by God who repeatedly made terrible choices. A man who loved the wrong women, let his temper control him, and revealed secrets he should have kept. But it's also the story of a God who works through broken people, who can take our failures and still accomplish his purposes, who offers strength when we're weak and redemption when we fall. Samson was set apart from God from birth, but he lived for himself most of his life. Only at the very end, broken and blind, did he finally surrender completely. And in that moment of surrender, God used him one last time. Sometimes our greatest victories come through our greatest defeats. Sometimes we have to lose everything to finally find what matters most. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more upcoming videos.